Kishi stood frozen in the doorway of his new classroom, deliberately avoiding everyone's gaze. He had barely entered the classroom a few moments ago, only to find one of his new female classmates, Akahana Himura, already walking up to him to introduce herself. Kishi had freaked out, unsure of how he should respond. The boy who had entered with him, Ryota Okamura, had tried to calm him down, but it was no use. He froze as she tried to shake his hand, struggling to find the right words to reply to her overly enthusiastic greeting. That encounter had left him completely spooked. Most people around his age would not have seen a problem with being a little nervous around a girl every now and then. But to Kishi, it was much more than just feeling a little awkward. It was outright anxiety. Kishi had been terrified of girls ever since he was a little kid. He would always find himself freezing up whenever he had a direct encounter with one, unable to speak or even smile in return. To put it simply, it was torture, and he hated it. He now noticed two other girls near the back of the classroom, in addition to the one already standing before him. One of them appeared to be rather level-headed, while the other appeared extremely energetic and physically resembled a humanoid dragon. From the snatches of conversation he was able to catch, the latter appeared to be issuing a challenge to the first girl. Her loud and boisterous nature, even from afar, only caused Kishi's anxiety to increase as he stood frozen in the doorway, unsure of what he should do or where he could go when girls appeared to be at every turn. He hoped against hope that the dragon girl would not notice him somehow. Even if her attention was focused in the other direction, the last thing he needed was for her to challenge him to something too. Kishi was athletic, but if he had overheard their conversation correctly, the challenge was going to be some sort of race, and despite his physical prowess, his abilities did not offer him any advantage at one of those. Most of his strength was focused on his arms, as he had been lifting weights ever since he was little as a way to train his unique quirk. Kishi could add any amount of weight to a given object he touched, so long as that amount of weight was within the range he could physically lift. As a result, he had been making a conscious effort to lift heavier and heavier weights in order to build up his endurance so that he can improve his abilities. Kishi had also been trained in Aikido as a kid, and he still did it till this day. His father held Aikido classes in their private dojo, and Kishi had been among the many students who attended them growing up. Later, he had received private training from his father, which only helped him improve even more. Despite that, it was not the fact that he was not trained in running that was keeping him from wanting to be challenged to a race. The problem was that the dragon girl was taller than he was, and looked extremely intimidating, even for a girl. She had green scales that covered her entire body, fiery red hair, and large wings that fanned out on either side. Kishi did not want to be the one to upset her in any way, or to have to talk to her at all, if possible. He didn't think his heart could take it. Akahana moved away, now locked in conversation with Ryota. This allowed Kishi to breathe a little, though he still felt rather awkward standing around the doorway while everyone else was mingling. He vaguely wondered if he would have done the same if most of his classroom had not been filled with girls. He never really liked crowds. His relief was short-lived, however, as a moment later, yet another girl entered the classroom and walked right past him. This one was, shocking enough, even more intimidating than the dragon girl. She had to be at least 7 feet tall, and though she was attractive, her intimidating height and stylish appearance only served to bring Kishi on the verge of a panic attack. He watched in stunned terror as she approached a few of the others, and promptly tripped over something on the floor. The noise startled everyone, including the dragon girl, who was now racing to the front of the classroom to see what the commotion was about. With the coast near the back partially clear, Kishi felt his legs move on their own as he quickly retreated to the furthest corner he could find, away from the chaos and away from the crowd of girls that was now forming near the front. His heart beating fast, he tried not to look at the girl his dragon classmate had been talking to. He was still sitting at her chosen desk, observing the front of the classroom without comment. At least she wasn't being loud or boisterous. At this moment, Kishi also noticed, to his dismay, that there was yet another girl sitting next to the former. She was fast asleep at her desk, her head resting gently on a pillow she appeared to have brought from home. Kishi looked away from her and focused his attention back to the front of the classroom, not wanting to be accused of staring. The extremely tall girl was now picking herself off the floor and starting a conversation with the dragon girl, who seemed to be apologizing while introducing herself at the same time. Why did this class have so many girls? Could he be unlucky enough to be one out of only 3 boys in an entire class of female students? Kishi didn't know if his heart could take it if that were the case.
Please don't come this way, please don't come this way, please don't come this way!
Kishi mentally thought as he forced himself to look away from the 2 extremely intimidating girls. Fortunately, she promptly got into a debate with the dragon girl and became too distracted to notice anything else, including the lone boy with a deer horn standing in the corner of the classroom. Well, this first morning of school sure was going great. Class hadn't even started yet, and Kishi had already allowed himself to get intimidated by several of his classmates. How would he survive the rest of the school year, let alone the rest of his time here at UA? Kishi wished he could get over his fear of girls. It had been crippling for him ever since he was about 6, and he really didn't want to think about the incident that led to that phobia. If only there was a way to make the memories of that disappear, that might solve his problem. But no. Having had no one to talk to about the incident because of pure embarrassment, the trauma only festered and buried itself deep into Kishi's psyche. He knew that it would take a lot for him to get over his fears, and that wasn't from lack of trying. He had tried and failed to interact with various girls over the years, but every time he would freeze up like a deer in headlights and be unable to say anything. It was frustrating, embarrassing. Kishi had always been rather shy and sensitive, but this was on a whole other level. He hated it. Why couldn't he just be normal? Why couldn't he get over what happened to him as a child? As the morning went on, more and more students began entering the classroom. The chatter around Kishi grew louder and louder, and he found himself pressing himself further into his little corner. A desk stood close by, so he could have sat down if he wanted to, but the thought didn't even cross his mind. To his slight relief, Ryota soon came over and claimed the desk next to his, though it didn't last long as he promptly left to rejoin the ever-growing crowd, leaving his bag on his chair. Fortunately for Kishi, the gender pool of students appeared to even out as more of his classmates entered. There were still plenty of girls, but he could now see 2 or 3 new boys in the mix as well. He found himself relaxing a little as he concluded that the class would have a pretty balanced ratio of students after all. At some point, he felt someone approach him and instinctively averted his gaze in case it was one of the intimidating girls from earlier. It wasn't. The person who stood next to him was a lot smaller than he was, possibly the smallest person in the entire classroom. They only came up to his chest and were surveying the scene before them without paying it too much attention.
Hey, are you okay?
The new voice brought Kishi temporarily out of his thoughts.
You've been standing there for quite some time. I was getting worried.
Kishi forced himself to look at who was speaking to him. The newcomer was wearing a UA uniform, just like himself, a blouse, jacket, and a pair of long pants. They had hair shorter than Kishi's, though not too short. It basically fell down to their shoulders.
It's pretty hectic over there right now, isn't it?
The newcomer asked, pointing at the chaotic crowd of students now gathered in the front and middle of the classroom.
Yeah.
Crowds aren't really my thing either. I just got here and didn't really want to get involved in whatever is happening over there.
I wouldn't want to get involved with that either. Not that I don't like them or anything. It's just, you know, odd.
Don't worry, I get it. It can be kind of overwhelming. Standing in a corner isn't a bad thing.
Do you, avoid stuff like that too?
Mostly, yeah. I tend to avoid crowds in general. I'd rather just do my own thing, you know? Besides, I don't really know how I could contribute to something like that. They're already in the middle of their debates.
Yeah, it's kind of intimidating. You don't know what to say, or whether or not you're intruding.
I'm glad I'm not the only one here who feels that way. It's nice to know there's someone in class who I can relate to.
Same here. I always felt like I was the only one who didn't like crowds or loud noises.
I can relate to that too. Oh, by the way, I didn't get your name?
I'm Kishi Nakayama. You can just call me Kishi, though.
I'm Sora Tachibana. You won't find my name on the class registry. My parents still have my dead name on there. But it's nice to meet you.
Sora Tachibana?
Kishi's mind seemed to be going in slow motion. The person before him said that their name was Sora, and they mentioned something about a dead name being on the class registry. But that would mean...
I'm so sorry.
He said suddenly, feeling himself beginning to shake involuntarily.
I had no idea. I should have paid more attention or something. I shouldn't have...
Whoa. It's okay. You didn't...
I'm sorry.
Kishi's words were coming out in a jumbled mess as he began to panic. His shaking slowed down as he began to freeze up as usual whenever he was around any girl. But this time, it was a lot worse. He was sure he had offended her, that he had already ruined things with her before the first day of school even started. She was going to hate him now. He was sure of it. She was going to make fun of him, glare at him every time he walked past her in the hallway. He had made a big mistake and couldn't take it back. His crimes were irreparable. Kishi's vision began to blur as pure, unadulterated terror began to take over him. He couldn't see Sora anymore, couldn't think. He had completely frozen, unsure of what he could do to get out of the situation he had put himself in. A hand on his arm brought him back to his senses, at least a little, but he almost froze up again once he saw that it was Sora who had touched him.
Hey, are you okay?
I can't see anything. What do I say? I can't speak. I shouldn't speak. I'll just make things worse.
You're very pale. Do you need me to get a nurse?
Sora's voice asked from far, far away.
No.
Kishi gasped on instinct. He didn't need a doctor for this. He just needed to get out of there.
I'm not mad at you or anything, I promise.
Kishi highly doubted that.
Hey, Kishi?
Sora prompted after a moment of no response. He made an unintelligible noise, something between a grunt and a whimper. Sora knew that she had to help him calm down before anything else could be said between them. In this state, he didn't seem to be able to process anything.
Hey.
She tried again, getting an idea.
Could you describe to me one thing that you can smell right now? It can be anything at all.
The unusual request seemed to bring Kishi back to his senses a little more. He took a deep breath, inhaling the air of the classroom around him.
There's the smell of stationery.
That's right.
Sora nodded. Her plan seemed to be working so far.
Now, could you name 2 things that you can physically feel?
My feet on the floor and my back against the wall.
Kishi provided. He was still trembling.
What about 3 things you can hear?
Kishi concentrated.
The sound of the birds outside, the crowd in front of us, and your voice.
And lastly, what are 4 things you can see?
I see the desk before me, and the whiteboard in front of us, and the crowd of students, and...
Kishi swallowed as his eyes shifted to Sora standing next to him.
I see you.
He took another deep breath, trying to calm himself, trying to steady his trembling yet stiffened body.
That's right.
She smiled at him, a smile that carried a sense of comfort, warmth, and sincerity.
How are you feeling?
I'm terrified. I feel like I really messed up.
Everything's gonna be okay. I don't really know what caused you to have a panic attack, but I promise nothing is gonna hurt you. I won't let it. And I don't think any less of you for freaking out either.
Kishi stared at her blankly. He was calming down now, but his mind was still unable to focus.
Why are you helping me?
You look like you needed it. Besides, I know we just met, but I think you're a nice person. I was actually hoping we could be friends if you want to. I still feel that way.
Finally, Sora's words were beginning to break through the haze in Kishi's mind. She wasn't upset with him? Not even a little? It did not make any sense. He had ruined things with her. And yet, she was comforting him and offering her friendship? Kishi wasn't really sure what to make of this. All of this. He desperately wanted to believe her, but he was still scared.
But
You didn't do anything wrong.
Sora finished for him.
If you're worried about not knowing I'm a girl at first glance, that's a common mistake. I can't say I like it, of course, but it's not like many people know yet in the first place. I only started coming out to people recently. It's not like you dead-named me or anything. Besides, as annoying as it is, it's not like I can do much right now to make myself look more feminine. I've already done as much as I can, but sadly I still have to wear a boys' school uniform because of my parents and protocol and all that stuff. You didn't mean to make that mistake, and once you realized it, you immediately apologized and wanted to do the right thing. I could never be mad at that. Not when you respect me and didn't even question it once I told you. Plus, like I said, I'm just glad to be able to meet someone who I can connect with. That hasn't changed, even now.
Kishi let those words sink in for a few moments. What Sora was saying was not only comforting, it was also reassuring. His breathing was still shallow and his hands still shook, but Kishi forced himself to speak, trying to articulate his thoughts as well as he could.
I'm sorry for freaking out. I've just never been good with girls. I always screw up around them, so I thought that maybe I did something really bad and...
He ran a hand nervously along his long blonde ponytail.
I thought I messed things up with you right after we first met. I always feel like girls are going to hate me, and I thought this time was no exception.
Well, you didn't mess things up, and I don't hate you. In fact, I really like your company. I'd like to talk to you more if you're willing.
Really?
Kishi asked, not daring to believe it.
Really? We could both sit out of crowded activities together like what we're doing right now. Judging by what our classmates seem to be like, it'd be nice to have some company over the next few years whenever we don't want to participate in the chaos that will happen around us.
She waved vaguely at the crowd of students before them, which had steadily grown even larger throughout their conversation.
As for you being scared of girls, I personally don't mind at all. Different people have different struggles after all, and I don't think it's a bad thing. Of course, I understand if me being around you makes you uncomfortable though. I could give you space if you'd prefer that. I won't hold it against you.
No, I don't mind. I mean, I am scared, but if you really want to hang out with me and you don't hate me, I don't mind. I just hope I don't do anything to make you hate me later.
I promise you won't. It's not that easy to make me angry in most situations. And it's even harder to get on my permanent bad side.
Well, I do want to be friends if you'd like to. Plus, I have been trying to get over my fear of girls, so maybe this could help.
Yeah, I'd be happy to help you with that. We can take it slow, one step at a time. And you can always tell me if there's something that makes you uncomfortable and we don't have to do it.
Kishi's heart was still racing in his chest, but he was slowly beginning to return to reality. True, he was still nervous, and the proposition before him was frightening. But the lack of confrontational stare, the presence of a smile and a soft voice, all came together to paint a picture of safety in his mind. He could give friendship with Sora a try. It was not like he ever did something like that before, so he didn't really have anything to lose. Not to mention, girl or not, he was glad he found someone he could connect with in class, even a little.
Okay,
He said at last.
I don't see why we can't spend time together. Just be patient with me, alright? I'm not exactly well put together or anything.
Cross my heart. I'd say I tend to be more patient than your average person anyway.
They stood there for a few moments, trying to get a feel for each other's company. Kishi was trying to steady his breathing, continuously reassuring himself that everything was alright. Even this conversation alone was a huge step for him. He had never been able to talk to a girl for more than a few seconds up to this point.
By the way, have you chosen a desk yet?
Sora asked, breaking the silence.
I was thinking I would just sit here.
Kishi replied, indicating the desk that was close to him.
It's all the way at the back of the classroom and out of the way, so I won't have to be among everyone else.
That makes sense. I've chosen a desk all the way at the front of the classroom. I wish I could sit next to you, but I don't think I'll be able to see the whiteboard from all the way back here, since most of our classmates are a lot taller than I am.
I see.
But we can still hang out, even if we don't sit next to each other in class. We could hang out after school or something, whatever makes you comfortable. This doesn't have to mean anything for our friendship.
I guess you're right. At least Ryota seems to be sitting next to me. I don't know if I could stomach sitting next to another girl just yet.
Oh, you mean the guy with the wild purple hair?
Sora asked, pointing at Ryota, who was settling at his chosen desk and yelling something to the front of the classroom. Kishi nodded.
We entered the classroom together earlier. He was trying to calm me down when one of the other girls walked up to me to say hello. It was so embarrassing.
It's alright. These things take time to get over. I'm sure over time, whatever it is that's causing you to panic will get better. And I'll be by your side until that happens, and beyond.
The classroom was nearly full now, and many students were taking their seats. Some were still chatting or bickering with each other across the room, but more than half the desks had now been filled.
You should probably get to the front of the classroom before someone else takes it. There's already someone sitting next to the desk you wanted.
I already left my stuff there, so I'm not too worried about that. Though I guess you're right that it is almost time for class to start.
She checked her watch and frowned.
Well, I guess I'll have to see you later. Will you be okay on your own?
Yeah, I think I'll be fine. Do you want to meet for lunch or something later?
Sure, as long as you want to. See you after class then?
Yeah, see you later.
Sora smiled at him before turning and heading over to the front of the classroom. Kishi finally walked over to the empty desk in front of him and sat down. His heart rate and breathing were almost back to normal now, and he could focus more clearly on his surroundings once again. The desk directly in front of his was still empty. Kishi vaguely wondered who was going to sit there. Surely someone had to take it. He hoped it wouldn't be a girl. Still, the encounter he just had with Sora was extremely positive, despite his panic attack. She seemed extremely friendly, patient, and most importantly of all, she seemed to like his company. For many years, Kishi had almost lost hope of ever getting over his fear of girls. No matter what he tried or what he did, he simply couldn't seem to stop freezing up. But today, he was able to calm down enough to actually talk to one, and even become friends with her. If this kept up, maybe there was a chance he could get over it after all. Maybe the rest of his school life here wouldn't be so bad. Kishi began removing books and stationery from his bag and placing them on the desk before him. The bell rang to signal the start of the school day, and the next time Kishi looked up, he saw that the seat directly in front of him had been filled. Despite the fact that whoever it was would have their back to him, he was half worried that it would in fact be one of his female classmates who ended up sitting there. But it wasn't. The boy sitting in front of him had short blue hair and a golden halo floating just above his head. Kishi stared, unable to take his eyes off the newcomer. Something about his appearance, even from behind, was striking. Who was he?